Chapter 65. He sat straight up, covered in sweat. Even before he could fully compute his surroundings, before all the information traveled through the nerve wires and cognitive functions of his brain, he knew that everything was wrong. That everything had been taken from him all over again. He lay on the ground alone, in a room. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, everything was white. The floor beneath him was spongy, hard and smooth, but with enough give to be comfortable. He looked at the walls. They were padded, with large button indentations across them about 4 feet apart. Bright light shone down from a rectangle in the ceiling, too high for him to reach. The place had a clean smell to it, like ammonia and soap. Thomas looked down to see that even his clothes had no color. A t-shirt, cotton pants, socks. A brown desk sat about a dozen feet in front of him. It was the only thing in the entire room that wasn't white. Old and battered and scratched, it had a bare wooden chair pushed into the sitting well on the other side. Behind that was the door, padded like the walls. Thomas felt a strange calm. Instinct told him he should be on his feet, screaming for help. He should be banging on the door. But he knew that door wouldn't open. He knew no one would listen. He was in the box all over again. Should have known better than to get his hopes up. "I'm not going to panic," he told himself. It had to be another phase of the trials, and this time he'd fight to change things, to end it all. It was strange, but just knowing he had a plan, that he'd do whatever it took to find freedom, caused a surprising calm to pass over him. "Teresa?" he called out. He knew that at this point she and Eris were the only hope of communication with the outside. "Can you hear me? Eris, you there?" No one responded. Not Teresa, not Eris, not Brenda. But that had only been a dream. It had to have been. Brenda couldn't be working with Wicked. It couldn't be speaking in his mind. "Teresa?" he said again, throwing hard mental effort into it. "Eris?" Nothing. He stood and walked over to the desk. But 2 feet in front of it, he ran into an invisible wall. A barrier, just like back in the dormitory. Thomas didn't let the panic rise. Didn't let fear overcome him. He took a deep breath, walked back toward the corner of the room, then sat down and leaned into it. Closed his eyes and relaxed. Waited. Fell asleep. "Tom? Tom!" He didn't know how many times she said it before he finally responded. "Teresa?" He woke with a jolt. Looked around and remembered the white room. "Where are you?" "They put us in another dormitory after the berg landed. We've been here a few days, just sitting around doing nothing. Tom, what happened to you?" Teresa was worried. Scared even. That much he knew for sure. As for himself, he mostly felt confused. A few days. "What?" "They took you away as soon as the berg landed. They kept telling us it was too late, that the flare's too rooted in you. They said you've gone crazy and violent." Thomas tried to hold it together. Tried not to think about how Wicked could wipe memories. "Teresa, it's just another part of the trials. They've got me locked up in this white room, but you've been there for days? How many?" "Tom, it's been almost a week." Thomas couldn't respond. Almost wanted to pretend he hadn't heard what Teresa just said. The fear he'd been holding back began to slowly seep into his chest. Could he trust her? She'd lied to him so much already. And how did he even know this was really her? It was high time to cut off ties with Teresa. "Tom?" Teresa called to him again. "What's going on here? I'm really confused." Thomas felt a rush of emotion. A burning inside him that almost brought tears to his eyes. He'd once considered Teresa his best friend, but it could never be like that again. Now all he felt when he thought of her was anger. "Tom, why aren't you—" "Teresa, listen to me." "Hello? That's what I'm trying— No, just listen. Don't say anything else, okay? Just listen to me." She paused. "Okay." A quiet, scared voice in his mind. Thomas couldn't control it anymore. Rage pulsed inside of him. Luckily, he only had to think of the words, because he could never have spoken them aloud. "Teresa, go away." "Tom, no. Don't say another word. Just leave me alone. And you can tell Wicked that I'm done playing their games. Tell him I'm done." She waited a few seconds before responding. "Okay." Another pause. "Okay, then I just have one thing left to say to you." Thomas sighed. "I can't wait." She didn't say it right away. and he would have thought she'd left him, except that he still felt her presence. Finally, she spoke again. Tom? What? Wicked is good. And then she was gone.